Today, you are about to begin a journey that will take you into the deepest mysteries of time. This is the complete history of the true events of the Bible. From Adam's very first breath to the last breath of Jesus' final disciple. By the time you finish hearing this historical event, you will not be the same person you are today. The power of God's Word will ignite a new fire in your heart. But only if you completely open your heart. If the Bible has remained a mystery to you, today that mystery will be solved. If its pages have seemed silent to you, today they will begin to speak. I fully believe that the light of this knowledge will break through your darkness. Everything began before the beginning itself, in that eternal silence where time had no meaning, where space had no boundaries. Only one truth existed: God, who was never born and never died. He is eternal, meaning he had no beginning. He is everlasting, meaning he will never have an end. He is the creator of all creation, yet he himself was not created by anyone. His existence is complete within himself. Eternity is his unique nature. Then one day, which we could call the first day of time, God lifted his all-powerful voice. 3 words came from his mouth and shook the foundation of the universe. Let there be light. And light burst forth, tearing through the chest of darkness. This was not just light. It was the reflection of God's glory. For 6 days, the greatest work of creation continued. The sky stretched out wearing its blue covering. The earth became beautiful in its green garments. The seas began dancing with their waves. The sun, moon, and stars began shining in their appointed places. Trees, plants, animals, and birds, everything came into existence through the power of God's Word. But the 6th day was the day when God prepared his most precious jewel, humanity. Taking the dust of the earth into his hands, he lovingly formed it. Then he breathed the breath of life into its nostrils, and Adam, the first man, came alive. The image of God was shining in his eyes. A heavenly radiance was upon his face. Then God said, "It is not good for Adam to be alone." He caused Adam to fall into a deep sleep. From his rib, he created Eve. When Adam opened his eyes and saw Eve, he shouted with joy. "Now this is bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh." Adam and Eve were completely innocent, pure and holy. There were no evil thoughts in their minds. There was no sin in their hearts. They spoke with God every single day. The peace of heaven had come down to earth. They lived joyfully in the Garden of Eden and took care of God's creation. But one day, a dark shadow entered that heavenly garden. Satan, the one who was once God's most beautiful angel, but had been cast out of heaven because of pride and rebellion. He took the form of a serpent and entered that holy place. There was fire for revenge in his eyes. There was a plan in his heart to corrupt God's most beloved creation. He came to Eve and began deceiving her with smooth words. "Did God really say that you cannot eat from any tree in the garden?" Eve answered, "We may eat from all the trees, only not from the tree in the middle. God said that the day we eat from it, we will die." Then Satan spoke his deadliest lie. "You will surely not die. God knows that the day you eat it, your eyes will be opened, and you will become like God." One fruit, one lie, one choice, and humanity experienced its greatest fall. Eve took the fruit and ate it, and also gave it to her husband. The moment they ate, everything changed. Innocence was lost. Holiness was destroyed. Fear, shame, guilt, all of it entered their hearts for the first time. When God came into the garden, Adam and Eve hid themselves. For the first time, they were afraid of their Creator. When God asked what had happened, Adam blamed Eve. Eve blamed the serpent. In this way, sin planted its poisonous roots. Death established its rule upon the earth. The gates of heaven were closed. But hidden within God's love was hope. He said to the serpent, "The seed of the woman will crush your head." This was the first prophecy of the Messiah. Adam and Eve had two sons, Cain and Abel. Cain was a farmer. Abel was a shepherd. Both offered sacrifices to God. Abel chose the best of his lambs and offered it with faith. Cain brought an offering from his crops, but his heart wasn't right. God accepted Abel's offering, but not Cain's. Jealousy burned inside Cain's heart. Brother against brother. This too was the result of sin. One day, when they were alone in the field, Cain attacked his brother Abel. The first blood was spilled on the earth. The first murder happened. When God asked Cain, "Where is your brother?" he answered proudly, "I don't know. Am I my brother's keeper?" In this way, Cain became history's first murderer. God cursed him, and he became a wanderer. But a ray of hope still remained. Adam and Eve had another son, Seth. In Seth's lineage, people were born who continued seeking God. People like Enoch, who walked with God. And one day, God took him away. Time passed. Humanity increased, but sin increased as well. Violence and wickedness spread across the earth. People's hearts were filled only with evil thoughts continually. God's heart was grieved. He thought, "I regret making mankind." Then God decided, "I will wipe mankind from the face of the earth." But in that corrupt generation, there was one man who was different. Noah, a righteous and blameless man. He walked with God among his generation. God said to Noah, "I will bring a flood upon the earth. Build yourself an ark from gopher wood. Make rooms in it and cover it inside and out with pitch." Noah obeyed God's command. For 120 years, he continued building that massive ark. People called him crazy. There was no sea there. Then why build a ship? But Noah remained firm in faith. When the ark was finished, God said, "Now bring your family and pairs of every kind of animal into the ark." Noah, his wife, his 3 sons Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and their wives. A total of 8 people boarded the ark. Then God himself shut the door of the ark. On the 7th day, rain began falling from the sky. Springs of water burst forth from the depths of the earth. For 40 days and 40 nights, the destruction continued. The water rose so high that even the tallest mountains were covered. Everything that breathed died. Only Noah and those with him in the ark remained safe. This was the greatest judgment in the world's history. But it was also mercy, because 8 people were saved. After 150 days, the waters began to go down. The ark came to rest on the mountains of Ararat. Noah sent out a raven, then a dove. The dove returned carrying an olive leaf. This was the sign that the earth was drying. When they came out of the ark, the first thing Noah did was build an altar to God and offer sacrifices. God was pleased, and he promised that he would never again destroy the earth with a flood. As the sign of this promise, he placed the rainbow in the sky. From Noah's 3 sons, humanity began again. From Shem came the Semitic nations, the Jews and Arabs. From Ham came African and Asian peoples. From Japheth came the European nations. Time moved forward. Humanity began spreading once again. But God had a special plan in his heart. He wanted to choose a family through whom the promised Messiah would come into the world. In Mesopotamia, in the city of Ur, there lived a man, Abraham. He lived in the land of the Chaldeans, where idol worship was common. But in Abraham's heart was a search for the true God. One day God said to Abraham, "Leave your country, your people, and your father's house, and go to the land I will show you. I will make you into a great nation and bless you. Through you, all the families of the earth will be blessed." How difficult that was. At the age of 75, leaving everything behind and going toward an unknown land. No map, no directions, only God's promise. But Abraham believed. He took his wife Sarah, his nephew Lot, and all his possessions, and began the journey. It was the great journey of faith. Everywhere Abraham went, he built an altar for God. He became a traveler, living in tents, because he was waiting for that heavenly city, whose builder and maker is God. When he reached the land of Canaan, God said again, "This is the land I will give to your descendants." But Abraham had no child. He and Sarah were growing old. One night, God brought Abraham outside the tent and said, "Look toward the sky and count the stars if you can count them." Then he said, "So shall your descendants be." Abraham believed God, and it was counted to him as righteousness. But God also revealed that his descendants would live as strangers in a foreign land for 400 years and would live in slavery. Then in the fourth generation, they would return. Time passed. Abraham became 99 years old. Then God changed his name from Abram to Abraham. Abram meant exalted father, and Abraham meant father of many nations. By this time, Sarah's patience had run out. She gave her Egyptian servant Hagar to Abraham to live with him. Ishmael was born from this. This was not God's plan. It was human effort. Ishmael became the ancestor of the Arab nations, who later became enemies of Israel. When Abraham was 100 years old and Sarah was 90, God's miracle happened. The promised son, Isaac, was born. Sarah was filled with laughter. God has made me laugh. Everyone who hears this will laugh with me. Isaac grew up. Then God gave Abraham his greatest test. He said, "Take your son, your only son Isaac, and go to the land of Moriah, and offer him there as a burnt offering." What kind of test was this? The son he waited 25 years for, and now he had to sacrifice him. But Abraham obeyed without questioning. He knew that God could even raise the dead. On the third day, when they reached Mount Moriah, Abraham built an altar, arranged the wood, and bound Isaac and laid him on it. When he lifted the knife, the angel of the Lord stopped him. "Abraham, Abraham, do not lay a hand on the boy. Now, I know that you fear God." Nearby, a ram was caught in a bush. Abraham offered it in place of Isaac. He named that place Jehovah-Jireh, the Lord will provide. Isaac married Rebekah, but for 20 years they had no children. Then God heard their prayer, and Rebekah gave birth to twin sons, Esau and Jacob. Esau was a hunter. Jacob was quiet. One day Esau came home hungry and asked Jacob for stew. Jacob said, "First sell me your birthright." Esau treated his birthright as worthless and sold it for a bowl of stew. Later, with the help of his mother Rebekah, Jacob also stole the blessing from his father Isaac. Esau became furious and planned to kill Jacob. Jacob had to run away. On the way, at a place called Bethel, Jacob had a dream. A ladder was set up from earth to heaven, and angels of God were going up and down on it. God said to him, "I am the God of your grandfather Abraham and your father Isaac. The land on which you lie, I will give to you and your descendants." Jacob stayed with his uncle Laban for 20 years. There he married Leah and Rachel. He had 12 sons: Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Dan, Naphtali, Gad, Asher, Issachar, Zebulun, Joseph, and Benjamin. These 12 sons became the ancestors of the 12 tribes of Israel. On the return journey, one night, Jacob wrestled with a man. That man was an angel of God. When Jacob said, "I will not let you go until you bless me," his name was changed from Jacob to Israel. Israel means one who wrestles with God. Among Jacob's sons, Joseph was the most loved. This caused jealousy among the brothers. Joseph saw 2 dreams in which his brothers were bowing down to him. Their jealousy increased even more. One day, the brothers captured Joseph and threw him into a pit. Then they sold him to Ishmaelite traders. Joseph arrived in Egypt and became a servant in Potiphar's house. Potiphar's wife tried to seduce Joseph. When Joseph refused, she made a false accusation against him. Joseph was thrown into prison. In prison, Joseph interpreted the dreams of 2 of Pharaoh's officials. 2 years later, Pharaoh himself had a dream. 7 fat cows and 7 skinny cows. No one could explain its meaning. Then Joseph was called. He explained that there would be 7 years of plentiful harvest. Then 7 years of famine would come. Pharaoh was impressed and made Joseph the prime minister of Egypt. When the famine came, Jacob sent his sons to Egypt to buy grain. Joseph recognized his brothers, but they did not recognize him. He tested them and then revealed himself. "I am Joseph, your brother." The brothers were terrified, but Joseph said, "Do not be afraid. You intended evil against me, but God turned it into good so that many lives could be saved." In this way, Jacob's entire family, 70 people, settled in the land of Goshen in Egypt. It was fertile land where they could graze their livestock. Before dying, Jacob blessed his 12 sons. To Judah he said, "The scepter shall not depart from Judah until Shiloh comes." This was a prophecy of the Messiah. 400 years passed in Egypt. The 70 people grew into nearly 2 million. But now they were slaves. A new Pharaoh had come who did not know Joseph. He forced the Israelites into harsh labor. Out of fear, Pharaoh ordered that every Israelite baby boy be thrown into the Nile River at birth. But a Levite mother hid her beautiful baby for 3 months. Then she placed him in a basket and set him afloat on the Nile River. Pharaoh's daughter found the baby. She adopted him as her son and named him Moses, because I drew him out of the water. Moses became skilled in all the wisdom of Egypt. But at the age of 40, when he saw an Egyptian beating an Israelite, he killed the Egyptian. Out of fear, he fled to the land of Midian. There, he lived as a shepherd for 40 years. One day, on Mount Horeb, he saw an amazing sight. A bush was burning, but it was not being consumed. When Moses went near, God spoke from the bush. "Moses, Moses," he answered, "Here I am." "Do not come any closer. Take off your sandals, because the place where you stand is holy ground. I am the God of your ancestors. I have seen the suffering of my people in Egypt. Now go. I am sending you to Pharaoh, so that you may bring my people out of Egypt." Moses said, "Who am I to go to Pharaoh?" God replied, "I will be with you." Moses and his brother Aaron went before Pharaoh and said, "The Lord, the God of Israel, says this: Let my people go so they may worship me in the wilderness." Pharaoh proudly replied, "Who is the Lord that I should obey his voice? I will not let Israel go." Then God's judgment began. 10 terrible plagues came upon Egypt. Water turned into blood. Frogs, lice, flies, death of livestock, boils, hail, locusts, darkness. After every plague, Pharaoh's heart became even harder. The 10th plague was the most terrible of all, the death of every firstborn in Egypt. But to save the Israelites, God gave the command of Passover. Every family was to take a spotless lamb, kill it, and put its blood on the doorposts of their house. That night, the angel of death passed through Egypt. Wherever there was the sign of blood, it passed over. Where there was no blood, the firstborn was killed. Even Pharaoh's own firstborn died. At midnight, Pharaoh called for Moses and said, "Get up, and leave my people. Go and worship the Lord." The Egyptians also began saying, "Leave quickly, or we will all die." In this way, 600,000 men, along with women and children, nearly 2 million people came out of Egypt. After 430 years, they were free. Exactly as God had told Abraham. But Pharaoh changed his mind again. He chased after the Israelites with 600 chariots. The Israelites became trapped beside the Red Sea. The sea in front of them, the Egyptian army behind them. The people became afraid and said to Moses, "Were there no graves in Egypt that you brought us here to die?" Moses said, "Don't be afraid. Stand firm and see the salvation of the Lord." God said to Moses, "Lift up your staff and stretch it over the sea." The moment Moses did this, a strong east wind blew, and the sea split into 2 parts. Dry ground appeared in the middle. The Israelites walked across the sea on dry ground. When the Egyptian army followed behind them, God caused the waters to come back together. The entire Egyptian army drowned. After witnessing this great victory of God, the Israelites sang a song. "I will sing to the Lord, for he has triumphed gloriously." The journey through the wilderness began. On Mount Sinai, God gave Moses the 10 Commandments. The first 4 commandments were about relationship with God. The remaining 6 were about relationships with people. God gave detailed laws, moral, social, and religious. He gave the blueprint for the tabernacle, where he would reveal his presence. But when they reached Kadesh Barnea, 12 men were sent to spy out the promised land. After 40 days, they returned. 10 spies said, "The people there are strong. The cities are huge and fortified. We seemed like grasshoppers in our own eyes." Only Joshua and Caleb said, "If the Lord is pleased with us, he will bring us into that land. Do not fear them. The Lord is with us." But the people believed the 10 spies. They began complaining, "If only we had died in Egypt. Why has the Lord brought us here to die by the sword?" God's anger burned. He said, "For every day you spied out the land, 40 days, you will wander in the wilderness for 40 years, 1 year for each day." In this way, the generation that came out of Egypt died in the wilderness. Only Joshua and Caleb were able to enter the promised land. After 40 years, when Moses was 120 years old, God called him to Mount Nebo and showed him the promised land. Then Moses, Israel's greatest prophet, died there. God himself buried him.